of the Police Advisory and Accountability Committee meeting, Wednesday, the 19th. I'm going to call on Lieutenant Aberle for roll call, please.
Thank you. Good evening, Chair Tokolahi. I will press the roll. Member Alm,
Present.
Member Alvarez,
Present.
Member Kamina, Member Nguyen, Member Ruiz,
Present.
Alternate Member Locks,
Here.
Alternate Member Valdez,
Present.
and Chair Tokolahi.
Present.
Mr. Davidi is running a little late today.
Thank you. Are we ready with? How's our interpretation and
We are ready.
we're good?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you, Chair Tokolahi. Before we begin tonight, we would like to announce that tonight's meeting will include Spanish language simultaneous and consecutive interpretation provided by qualified interpreters on the Spanish channel. If watching on Zoom, you can join the Spanish channel by clicking on the interpretation icon. In the Zoom toolbar, it looks like a globe. If you are attending in person and don't have access to Zoom meeting from your mobile device, please come and see me and I will get you set up with a device so you can listen to the meeting in Spanish. As a reminder, we ask that everyone participating tonight speak slowly and allow our interpreter to effectively express your comments. Vanessa, if you're on the primary channel, can you read what's in purple in Spanish?
Yes. Antes de que continuemos, queremos anunciar hoy día que esta junta estará incluida en lenguaje español simultáneo y consecutivo, una interpretación de acuerdo con unos intérpretes en el canal, unos intérpretes calificados en el canal de español. Si están mirando por medio de Zoom, pueden ver que hay un canal si presionan en el icono de abajo, se puede ver una figura de una bolita y ahí pueden escoger el canal. Si están atendiendo en persona, no tendrán acceso a la junta por medio de Zoom. Pueden ingresar por medio de sus aparatos móviles y por favor vengan hacia mí si necesitan pararse y necesitan ayuda con los aparatos para que así puedan escuchar la junta en español. Les recuerdo que les pedimos a todos los participantes hoy día que hablen lento y que permitan tiempo para que el intérprete pueda expresar sus comentarios efectivamente.
Thank you, Vanessa. This meeting tonight is being recorded and members of the public can watch online or listen by phone by calling 669-444-9171 using the meeting ID 898-526-7245#. There will be an opportunity for public comment for those participating in person. Each person will have 2 minutes to provide their comments. We invite each of you to introduce yourselves by name before presenting your comments. We are offering closed captioning for this evening's meeting on Zoom, and you can select the live transcript button on Zoom to enable this feature. Thank you.
Thank you. Before we, I know first in our agenda is to pass our minutes from the last two meetings, but before that, I wanted to just shortly acknowledge and show appreciation to the staff. Last night, we were here at the city council with some of the members of the committee with our annual report. So that was really good. Thank you for those who turned up and show up again tonight. And thank you again for the staff for putting everything together, not just for the annual reports, but continuing to work with us, you know, doing all the stuff for these meetings. Okay, now that's on the side. We're gonna move on to, you all have a copy of the minutes, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we look at approving the minutes from there were two meetings. So the special meeting on January 11 and the regular meeting, our regular meeting on the 15th. So those are the 2 minutes. You should be in front of you guys. Yeah. Any motions and seconds to approve the minutes?
Chair Takalai, I would move to accept both minutes from January 11th and January 15th.
I'm sorry. I think we have to go through questions first and then open up to if there's any
Sure.
comment on the minutes and then the motion.
Let me ask you, does the public have, do you guys have a copy of those 2 minutes? If not, there should be some copies on the table outside. Okay, should we, does anybody have questions regarding the minutes? Any committee members have any questions? No? I'd like to invite, are there any comments from the public regarding those 2 minutes? No. I'm going to close public comment. Now we're getting into the motion and second of approving those 2 minutes. And I know you did.
I can do it
Want to
again.
do it again?
No,
Okay.
I would move to accept the minutes from January 11th and January 15th.
Any seconds?
Chair, I'll second that.
Motion to approve both 2 minutes and second, Lieutenant Abley.
Yes, I can
Yes,
call a
thank
roll call vote. Member Alm,
Aye.
Member Alvarez,
Aye.
Member Kamina, Member Nguyen, Member Ruiz, Chair Tokalahi.
Aye.
Member Alvarez, did I say? Did. This is, I'm sorry. Did I miss anybody?
I just,
Okay,
Davini's not here, so we have,
yep.
I would-
Um,
yeah.
The alternate. Member Valdez, I apologize.
Approve.
That is correct. I apologize.
Yeah.
Member Locks, how would you like to vote on the minutes?
Yes. For the viewers at home, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now it's open time for public expressions. Like to invite, any comments from the public on any matters that are not on the agenda tonight.
Good evening, everyone. Nice to see you. I wanted to speak again on the annual report. Really disappointed that after all of the public comment, after going back to the drawing board, it was still framed as if this committee does a lot of collaboration, makes recommendations, even though individual feedback was in a separate section. The opening section still made it seem as if this committee votes on things, and that this committee spent a lot of time making recommendations. And I think all of us who have been in this room for over a year at these meetings know that is disingenuous. It's not true. And it was presented to City Council last night with a lot of accolades for the work. So I hope that you all will think more about how this is framed. It would be really awesome if you could actually collaborate and make recommendations to the police department on things and actually vote on things. That's the whole reason we wanted you all here. That's the whole reason the community said, We need community voice in policing to make sure that it works for us too. That's why you're here. You have you up there, you have members of the police department and the city staff here who can provide feedback on how things work. But you can all provide really valuable feedback from yourselves and your neighbors and the people you care about if it's working or not. And it doesn't go anywhere to build trust when over and over again we say this isn't true, and then it goes to city council to be approved and was approved last night. So I hope you all will think more about what that looks like and what the community is hoping for from you, and have that annual report actually be true next year. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other? How's it going?
Jason from Gerstle Park. That's correct. I just wanted to talk about the homeless situation in San Rafael. Right now, the city of San Rafael is going down a good path. They have a sanctioned encampment. They're looking to transition those people into tiny homes. And right now, there's an ordinance that's in effect that allows public homeless to sleep on public property during in selected areas. Right now, Novato and San Rafael, Novato and Fairfax have criminalized homelessness with the new anti-camping ordinance, and San Rafael is feeling the effects of that, and they're going to readdress the ordinance in April. And I think it would be good if the PAC could weigh in on that. I know the city attorney has said that publicly that, we know we can't arrest our way out of homelessness. And I think that is something that I would like the PAC to weigh in on and try to urge the city to continue down the path they're going and not criminalize homelessness, because that won't help anybody living on the street. It'll just add barriers for people to get out of homelessness and into a home. Thank you.
Thank you. Good. Any other comments? No? I'm going to close public comments. Now we're moving on to our second agenda, which is in your agenda is 2A, right? It's U.S. Customs. So we're going to have a presentation on U.S. Customs and Immigration and the San Rafael Police Department. I understand.
How about if I introduce our presenter?
Yes, please.
You have all had the benefit of meeting Captain Roy Leone, who is our patrol or operations division commander. Captain Leone is very close and connected with the community, and he is going to present tonight on item 2A, which is U.S. Customs and Immigration and San Rafael's role in immigration enforcement. So with that, I'll turn it over to Captain Leone.
Thank you, Chief. Good evening, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to present tonight. I will be covering Senate Bill 54 and the San Rafael Police Department's immigration policy. Senate Bill 54, also known as the California Values Act, was signed into law in 2017 and went into effect on January 1st, 2018. The primary purpose of Senate Bill 54 is to limit the involvement of state and local agencies in federal immigration enforcement, with the goal of protecting immigrant communities. Key aspects of Senate Bill 54 include restrict cooperation with federal immigration authorities. The bill prevents local law enforcement agencies from using their resources to assist federal immigration authorities such as U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, also known as ICE, unless it is related to specific criminal cases or public safety concerns. Local law enforcement is restricted from transferring people into ICE custody for deportation purposes. The law allows for certain exceptions, such as when individuals have been convicted of certain felonies or if they are being sought for a criminal investigation related to a violent crime, such as rape, child abuse, kidnapping, homicide. The law aims to build trust between immigrant communities and local law enforcement by ensuring that people are not afraid to report crimes or cooperate with law enforcement due to the fear of deportation. The San Rafael Police Department Policy 413. The purpose of Policy 413 is to provide guidance to members of the San Rafael Police Department regarding immigration and interaction with federal immigration officials. It is the policy of the San Rafael Police Department that all members make a personal and professional commitment to equitably enforce the law and to provide equal service to the public. Confidence in this commitment will increase the effectiveness of this department in protecting and serving the entire community and recognizing the dignity of all people, regardless of national origin or immigration status. To encourage crime reporting and cooperation in the investigation of criminal activity, all individuals, regardless of immigration status, should feel confident that contact or being approached by law enforcement will not automatically lead to an immigration and/or deportation investigation. While it may be necessary to determine the identity of a victim or witness, members will treat all persons equally and not in any manner that violates the United States or California constitutions. An officer shall not investigate, interrogate, detain, or arrest individuals for immigration enforcement purposes, including a civil violation of federal immigration laws or related civil order. An officer shall not use immigration authorities as interpreters for law enforcement matters involving persons in the custody of an agency or department. The department will not collect any information about a person's immigration status. No officer shall provide personal information about a person to any immigration authority, including, but not limited to, the person's name, physical description, home address, work address, and telephone number, unless that information is publicly available. Requests for assistance from this department by federal immigration officials should be directed to the Lieutenant of Operations through the supervisor on duty. The Lieutenant of Operations is responsible for determining whether the requested assistance would be permitted under the California Securities Act. Full details of the San Rafael Police Department's immigration policy can be found on our website at srpd.org. As I conclude this presentation, I would like to add this final comment. A fundamental responsibility of the San Rafael Police Department is to build trust and establish meaningful connections with all members of our community. Beyond ensuring policy compliance, we are dedicated to strengthening our relationship with the immigrant community. We recognize that community safety is a shared responsibility, and it is vital that individuals feel safe and supported when reporting crimes, seeking assistance, or participating in civic life without fear or hesitation. Our goal is to create an environment where every resident feels valued, respected, and confident in turning to law enforcement for help, knowing that their safety and well-being is our highest priority. Thank you.
Do you mind keeping the contact there for folks who are at home too? Like if they're watching, make sure you got this contact down. You know, for further questions, if you want to learn more and know more, contact this. This should be a good contact, right? Regarding this issue. Okay, and for all of us too, like to share this. Just in case we have, some of our folks running into these issues. it's like 911. You know, you gotta know a quick way or someone to contact regarding this stuff. And please share this contact if you guys don't mind us doing that too. Thank you for the presentation. I know it was short, but there's a lot of stuff in there. And it's, you know, it's an issue that it's becoming number one now in a lot of our immigrant communities. Here in San Rafael, we have a huge immigrant community here too. So we wanted to create a safe space for them. And I think it's perfect timing to the presentation and what we're trying to do, working together with city officials and police department, making sure that we step, you know, towards building a safe space for the folks in our communities, which we do. We're growing. We still have a lot to learn, but we adapt as we move forward. Yes, of course, there's, you know, the ups and downs on the side, pull and, you know, push factors, but what we can do with what resources we have, like the presentation tonight, there's contact, reach out to your neighbors, folks that you work with, folks that you know that needed this help. We want to make sure that everyone in our city is safe. So with that, I'm gonna.
Can I just offer quick comment on the heels of Captain Leone's presentation? I think it's totally okay for us to call out that there's a lot of anxiety in the community, in our community and communities across the country. The landscape has changed this past month or so. And I think it's okay to call out that there's a lot of anxiety. We certainly feel it. We hear it. Our community feels it, and we hear it from our community. So, you know, the purpose of not only our policy, but our support of SB 54 is to really create an environment where our community feels safe to reach out, safe to call, and safe to partner with the PD. And, you know, as the chief, excuse me, I feel it's my responsibility to lead the organization in building community partnerships with everybody in the community, regardless of immigration status. And I also feel like in order for us to do our job as effectively as possible, we need the community to partner with us to do that. And I don't think we'll get that level of feeling safe if our community is fearful that we're partnering with immigration officials and participating in immigration sweeps and things like that. It can get a little complicated because ICE and HSI, so Immigration Customs Enforcement and Homeland Security Investigations, all as part of ICE, is a law enforcement organization. It's a federal law enforcement organization, and HSI in particular has a heavy and dangerous caseload in some cases, including thwarting terror attacks and terror cells and things like that. So I just wanted Captain Leone to present this tonight. We wanted Captain Leone to present this tonight just to underscore our role in our non-participation in immigration enforcement and our commitment to continue building community partnerships. So with that, I'll turn it back to you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for allowing me to make those comments.
Thank you. We're going to go around the committee to see if any of you guys have questions regarding and we can start with Member Salma.
Excellent. Thank you so much. I have two questions. One is related to the correspondence that we received from Stephen, where he is asking us as a panel to make suggestions, because we can't order you, but suggest support that they always cite and release. Because if you cite someone, they just come, they just appear in court if it's a traffic ticket. But if you actually arrest them, then their information becomes public record. Is that not so?
Yeah, any submittal to the district attorney for prosecution and a booking to the jail becomes public record
Okay.
through the booking log.
Which gets me to the question, the second part of my question is under policy, our SRPD policy 1413.6, that your PII or your personal information is safe unless it's available to the public. So therefore, if it's available to the public, ICE can access it.
Not from us. They might be able to access it from the public booking log, but not from a police investigation.
Not from police, okay, because that was the recommendation that Stephen's correspondence was to encourage officers to cite and release. And I mean for minor things, obviously, if they just shot somebody, you're not gonna cite and release them. I mean, that should be understood.
Typically not, no.
That should be
Yeah.
understood, yes. Okay, so thank you for addressing those issues, because yes, these are trying times and they've been heightened for everybody, those who are affected directly or indirectly. And I am actually going through neighborhoods and everywhere, even to the state capitol, and I am passing out the red cards that says what the individual's rights are. And I do have them in Spanish, and if anybody in the audience wants them, I have a person in the audience who can pass them out to you. So that's a little bit that I'm trying to do to just let people know what their rights are in this environment that's really heated.
Yeah, and to that comment, we do have, as you made reference, we do have a cite and release policy. Typically, it would be common practice. A police officer can cite for a misdemeanor, and a citation is a promise to appear in court.
Yes.
If there's certain criteria or elements that suggest, there might be a failure to appear, a flight risk, previous failures to appear, those types of things could lead to the approval of a booking as in lieu of a citation. Serious crimes, felonies, those types of things, we book a subject that's arrested. So in the spirit of Mr. Bingham's email or correspondence to the committee, I think that would address that.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Good. We're just gonna go through, do you have any questions?
I'm going to speak Spanish.
What is there? There you go.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Angie, do you want to
Casi la
switch?
misma pregunta para usted. Eh, Pues yo vivo en el área de Canal y la verdad es que yo le quiero dar las gracias por lo que usted nos acaba de decir, que
O yo quiero decir
está
que
apoyando.
les doy gracias de lo que están haciendo y and your help. I just want to say thank you for your help.
Y mi pregunta es casi parecida a la de ella. ¿Qué pasa
And my
ahora
question is similar.
con las personas que por algún motivo vivimos con ese miedo, ¿verdad? Pero por algún motivo traen una luz que no prende al dar la vuelta o cometen una infracción pequeña? Ahora estamos con ese miedo de que si nos llaman a corte, vaya a estar inmigración o... Esa es mi pregunta de que qué sucede con nosotros los que sin querer cometemos el delito de no revisar nuestro carro o algún problema que tengamos y tenemos que acudir a la corte. ¿Qué sucede con nosotros? Como antes llegará inmigración porque van a revisar nuestros papeles o nuestra
So my-
información personal. Gracias.
So my question is, based off of what was being said earlier, what's going to happen to the people that who have minor infractions, such as not having a light signal that works? What's going to happen when we go to court for some with those types of infractions? Can we expect ICE to be present and have access to our information? Now that it's becoming public?
You want me to answer that in English or Spanish?
Quisiera que contestara en español o en inglés.
We have a translate.
Okay, wait.
Tenemos in-
Okay.
Or should I do it in English? I'll go ahead and do it. Okay, so, the answer to the question, so we.
Entonces,
the
para
police
contestar
department,
esa pregunta,
we
nosotros
are
del
not
departamento
Sorry, one
no-
second. Vanessa, on the English channel, you're only going to translate whoever speaks in Spanish. Sorry.
Okay. Sí, quiero responder a tu pregunta y te lo voy a decir en español. Nosotros, la estación de policía, los oficiales de San Rafael, nosotros no les damos nada de información a los agentes de migración. Nosotros, cuando tu pregunta era si hay que decir si alguien te para y te damos una infracción. Nada cambia. Ahorita nada va a cambiar porque nosotros nunca vamos a darle esa información de usted a los oficiales de migración. La corte como te digo, voy a decir otra vez, nosotros también en la corte, nosotros no damos no preguntamos estatus de migración y no vamos a darle información a ninguno sobre eso, sobre esa información. Entonces, para nosotros, nada cambia, porque nosotros no estamos trabajando y no estamos dando la información a los agentes de migración. Sí, contesta su pregunta.
Captain Leon, would you mind actually translating that in English as well so we don't have
Yes,
to bug the
please.
translator?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The question was, if somebody were to be pulled over now and they go to court, should we expect immigration officials to be at court, or is there any change? I explained to Darlene that there is no change. We have never passed on information to immigration officials, and we will continue not to share information, including names, including address, including date of birth, any information regarding a traffic stop. So on our end, nothing changes. If somebody were to be pulled over for an infraction, we would handle that situation like we normally would in the past, and we will handle it like we do now, which is writing a citation. We do not share any information to immigration officials regarding that stop, regarding that person that we cite.
Thank you. Carmena, do you have questions?
I do. I'm assuming that ICE doesn't tell you when they're going to come to town. Is that correct? Or do they give you notice?
So, like a lot of law enforcement organizations, if an allied agency was coming to do a surveillance or look for somebody who was wanted, it's common practice to notify the local jurisdiction that you're in town. And we are typically notified by ICE if they are in town.
And then my second question is, how often do they come?
It varies. I mean, it just depends on their investigations, what they have. I don't, maybe well, Captain Leon runs the patrol division. I'll let him take I don't have the data.
Yeah.
Yeah, to answer that question, and the chief is correct, they do not, they do notify us. That doesn't mean that they have to. And I don't know whether they notify us every single time they come into our jurisdiction. But in 2024, for the entire year, we were notified 7 times that they were in our jurisdiction.
And they were specifically working on a particular case, something like that?
So again, because we don't work, we
Right.
don't assist, we don't share information with immigration officials, we don't receive very many details. Usually the information we receive is that they're in our jurisdiction, and sometimes the area in which they're going to be conducting surveillance or conducting their work. Very limited details that they provide us.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Vice Chair, I know you missed out on the presentation, but Yeah.
Just a question, do you feel comfortable sharing this year how many times ICE has been present? I know last year was 7 times, but have you noticed this year has it been an increase or?
I don't know if it's been an increase. I don't know if we have enough of 25 to recognize a pattern. I think maybe 4 times so far this year.
Okay. So it seems maybe there's significantly higher than last year by this time, I imagine.
Well, 7 last year, 4 so far.
yeah.
Yeah, is it trending for more? Yeah, I don't want to sound cryptic about all this, but they're running their investigations at the federal level, and I don't know, if they're in town 4 times in January and this portion of February so far this year looking for somebody, you could do 4 surveillances looking for a wanted fugitive, a wanted violent fugitive, and have yet to find them. So, a surveillance or a stakeout is very different than a sweep or, an immigration, sweep type operation. So I'll just offer that everything we've been notified thus far this year from ICE has been surveillance looking for a known fugitive.
Thank
That's
you.
probably all I should say because I don't want to get in trouble.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for the presentation. I'm going to go through some of my submitted questions. I think they're poignant for the public to hear them. Senate Bill 54 mandates that we're required by law enforcement agencies are to report to annually regarding transfers of persons to immigration authorities. We've had none, correct? Also, it mandates that we report on any task force that we've been a member of. Can you describe that and how many we've been a part of and what we've been doing with those?
We are part of one task force. We, the San Rafael Police Department participates with Marin County Major Crimes Task Force.
It was formerly Marin Major Crimes Task Force. Now it's the Specialized Investigative Unit.
Forgive me for being the new guy. So that's a group of local individuals, including CHP, who work on various caseloads, including narcotics investigations and trafficking and other violent crimes. Not immigration.
Thank you. A big component of Policy 413 has U&T visas. And can we explain and talk about more of that and how many were issued?
I could take that. I oversee that part of our department. And U visas, great question. Thank you, Mr. Alm. His question did spark us to put out a help guide on U visa law enforcement.
Con la U visa.
Sorry,
Oh, my fault.
it's okay. We have them up front in English and Spanish, and we'd be happy to post a link right after we're done with this meeting. So U visas are available for victims of crime that who are not United States citizens. And there is a list of about maybe 2 dozen qualifying crimes. But it's not, I do want to mention that it's not only the victim that is eligible for a U visa, but it is certain family members. So a mother or father of a certain crime victim is also eligible as well. I can tell you that in the past 5 years, we've had 384, I think it was 384 U visa requests. And we only denied 12. When we do deny them, we do have to write a formal letter. So we keep track of every U visa request that we have. And the 12 that we denied, I don't know the specifics, but I know that they did not qualify for the crime. So we work with their lawyers on how to either reapply or that they're just not qualified. Can I add just one more thing about the U visa? We are just a small portion of the U visa process. The victim of the crime will usually get a lawyer, and it is regulated by the Homeland Security. So Homeland Security on their form or by way of their form verify through us that they're a victim. And that's our role. That's just that they're a victim of it or not. So we don't grant any U visas or we don't deny any U visas.
Thank you for that explanation. I think it's important that that is reassured that victims of crime or witnesses have protections within our community. It helps them feel safer. I really want to hone in also on policy 413 with respect to the one thing that really stuck out to me. It is the policy of San Rafael Police Department that all members make personal and professional commitments to equal enforcement. Can we talk about what a personal commitment means?
So we policy, if you don't mind, and please feel free to weigh in. Policy 320 of our policy covers the standards of conduct. As we know that a law enforcement officer is a law enforcement officer 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. So we have a very high expectation, obviously, hopefully you've learned over the last year, of our officers. And it's not only on duty, but it's also off duty. So those same expectations and those perspectives, what they see off duty is same as on duty. So we expect them to treat everybody fairly, with dignity, with empathy and respect, whether on duty or off duty. That's the personal commitment that we want them to follow. And if they don't, then they do face discipline.
Has there been any violations of this policy?
No, there has not been any violations of this policy.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you. Member Nguyen, you have questions?
Chair Chocolate, can we take a brief moment so we can switch interpreters for a moment?
Yeah, sure. All right. Wait, did you say we take a
Just
break?
Like
Or just
30
just-
seconds?
Just need to toggle the interpreters. I'm sorry, I'll use the correct verbiage. Toggle the interpreters.
thank you.
Y en este momento vamos a estar cambiando de
Okay, we're good.
We're gonna just continue on with questions regarding the presentation. Do you guys have any questions? Yeah?
I just have a question on what Scott was talking about. What violates?
Yes.
Because you said
what-
there's no officers who have violated.
No officers have violated 413 of our policy in regards to their personal commitment on not treating people, with respect in regards to the immigration process.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Mhm.
So what would violate somebody that, or what would categorize a violation is if somebody was a member of like a hate group, or if somebody targeted somebody, if somebody, violated policy 413 and reached out to ICE or immigration against our policy, that would definitely violate the policy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I have a question. We have, for example, Darling was talking about when you get a ticket. When you get a fixed ticket, you can, like, for example, is no place or something like that. You can fix that and you see a police officer. But then you have to pay, like, I don't remember, it's $25 or something like that. And you have to do that at Civic Center. Is safe for a person that doesn't have papers to go to Civic Center, or is better if someone else goes in pay over there?
Yes, to answer your question, there are two ways in which somebody can pay a citation.
Mhm.
They could pay it in person at the Civic Center, or if they received a notice in the mail, they could also pay it through the mail. To answer your question, also, we have not received any information that leads us to believe that immigration officials are going to courts and waiting or asking questions regarding anybody, any subjects that are there in order for a court date or in order to take care of a citation. There's nothing that leads us to believe that that's what they're doing.
Thank you.
Do you have any other questions? I do have one. I know the information's, and we're doing this just for the city of San Rafael, but the issues cover the whole county. And we do have friends and family members who live outside of the city of San Rafael. So my questions, I'm worried about those. Especially like who lived in unincorporated area where the local BD doesn't have, you know, jurisdictions on those area. Like, do you guys, what do you guys do? This is coming from someone who doesn't know, or maybe have a family member who's in those areas, like let's say West Marin, because there's a lot of them out there, who doesn't know who to contact, where to go, what to do. You know, do you guys have affiliation outside of the city with other BDs?
Absolutely. You know, we have a working relationship with our allied agencies, not only within the county, but across the region and throughout the state at the chief's level, for example. You know, what I shared with you after Captain Leon's presentation, I think is amplified by some 336 municipal chiefs across the state of California who are all working to build trust and, you know, deeper relationships in their communities. I don't have control over or specific knowledge about what, you know, policies different police departments have any more than I do the sheriff's office. So it's up to the local jurisdiction. You know, I don't know if your question is centered on just awareness or influence. I'm not sure. I want to make sure I understand that I'm responding to your question as specifically as I can.
General awareness. You know, like you said in the beginning, a lot of people are anxious and curious. Yeah. And I think I'm going to paraphrase one of the comments from last night's meeting too, like curious about everything, what's going on, you know, what's going to happen. It's just general awareness.
Anecdotally,
Yeah.
I'll just offer that I think a lot of chiefs are having similar conversations with their city councils, their city managers, their advisory bodies, you know, whatever, to whatever degree those exist in different municipalities. I'm fairly connected with the California Police Chiefs Association, and we had a general member, what we call an all call earlier, and our legislative advocate kind of shared some updates in terms of Cal Chiefs and our general counsel and what they're offering us in terms of leading in this anxious time. And there's a lot to be determined. You know, it's early, it's a new landscape, but you know, we're in California, we're all kind of subject to SB 54, the California Values Act, and I think that's where you'll find a lot of municipal police organizations underscoring their policy based on that.
Thank you.
But again, it's kind of anecdotally.
Yeah.
Please don't like test me
Yeah.
on it or prove me wrong.
No.
But you know, I speak for San Rafael, but I'm just representing the interconnection I have
Yes.
with several of the chiefs.
Understand. Thank you. Thank you again for the presentation. Now I'm going to open up to, if we don't have any other questions from committee members, no, I'm going to open it up for public comments, please.
Jason from Gerstle Park. I want to talk about, like, one time when I was homeless, I got pulled over and I was riding my bike on I thought it was a bike path, but it was a walking path. And the police officer pulled me over and he said, you know, and I argued, and he said, well, you know, sometimes there's the spirit of the law and sometimes there's the letter of the law. And right now I'm going to give you a ticket for the letter of the law. So, I know there is some discretion on those, and I've heard that term used before in other circles with police. And so the reason why that is so important is because the Marin County Sheriff's Office has not publicly stated whether they're going to partnership with ICE or not. So when a police officer in San Rafael maybe has the discretion to go by the spirit of the law or the letter of the law, he needs to know that if he goes by the letter of the law and that goes to the DA's office, and then somebody has to go to court, Marin County Sheriff's officers might be partnering up with ICE. And so that's very important. And I want the PAC and I want the sheriffs or San Rafael Police Department to really understand that your decisions can really affect somebody's life and when it comes to immigration. And so that's what I wanted to say.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Hello, my name's Juliana Elias, and I'm a grandmother, and I have two granddaughters at San Rafael High School. And there's you probably already know there's a massive iPhone vine among students. If you want to know where ICE has been today or yesterday, you might ask a San Rafael High School student. But what I'm asking is two things, I guess. One is, have you reached out to the student body of the high school? Because that's there. I mean, if you want to talk about anxiety, it's, my one granddaughter of mine said, if ICE ever came to San Rafael High School, half the student body would be gone. And I don't know how true that is, but that's how they feel. And the other thing is, there's this rumor among students that ICE comes to town and uses DUI techniques because somehow it gives them an easier method to stop somebody legally and then get their information. So I don't know if that's possible. It seems strange to me if they're a federal police force that they can use, driving while intoxicated stops. I know the students were saying that a few weeks ago that there was a stop at Lincoln Avenue and that it was a DUI stop, but they were taking people away, sobbing women in the back of a van. So I was just wondering about that, those two things. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Hi.
Hi, everyone. I'm Tara Evans. I have a home in Country Club here in San Rafael, as well as Stinson Beach, and toggle between both of those. My question really is about flock safety surveillance systems. We know that the information that is captured in the surveillance systems that were newly put in the Canal neighborhood, as well as other areas where vehicles and people pass through, is stored on the AWS, that's the Amazon Web Service government cloud. And we also know that this is a specialized cloud environment for that's designed for the US government. So my question really is, given the installation of these new surveillance systems in the Canal neighborhood, what methods are being implemented to provide oversight and accountability for these cameras? Additionally, how is the SRPD ensuring the protection of personal data that's being captured by flock systems, particularly for community members driving or passing through their view? These are specifically undocumented individuals that do that. And also, what measures is SRPD taking to ensure that the movement of local undocumented community members, along with any of their personal information that's collected through the flock surveillance system, which is utilized to triangulate movements? So We as humans know that we are on schedules. I go to church at a certain time. I go to a grocery store at a certain time. I go to school at a certain time. And over time, what can happen with those surveillance systems is that individuals can be essentially found, right? So what are we doing to remain protected from those systems being accessed and shared with the new actors in the federal agencies? Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Shinji Sakai Ege. I was also here last night, and I thank you all for your service and your time for being here. I think the intentions are good. I think you all have a lot on your shoulders. So, I want to talk about data. Maybe not the funnest thing, but I think it's important. Obviously, just I don't know anything about all this data that we have, but I think it's important for you all to look at all the data, right? What is out there and what can ICE get, right? Or whoever immigration enforcement people get, right? So I think you all have a lot of homework. It's what is the data that's out there? What is the information that's on there, right? And then the other question is, what new data are we getting? Like the previous speaker was saying, maybe we stop using these fixed cameras and these license plate readers to, basically figure out our lives and who we are and where we go, right? So the other thing with all this data is I think, you're just thinking about it and, what are they going to ask for and things like that is, what do we actually have to give to them, right? Because, you think like a public records request, we all hate that, right? But it's, what do you actually have to give to them? Can you just give them the first initial and the last name, right? The harder it is for people to interpret data, the longer it's going to take and all this stuff, right? Slow down the process, right? So how can we defend ourselves? And then, lastly, I probably shouldn't even be saying this publicly, but what can you do to manipulate the data, right? Slow them down. Thanks.
Thank you. Let's see, we have one more.
Hi, my name is Hanya. I appreciate that the San Rafael Police Department has their own policy about non-participation with ICE, and I appreciate that you follow the Senate bill that is in place right now. But we know that a lot of laws are changing around the country right now. Hopefully, California will have less of an impact than other places, but I don't know if this is included in the police department's policy already. I'm sorry I didn't get a chance to read everything totally in detail, but I'm wondering if you can make a commitment in your policy to continue these practices even if the state's laws change, like past just what the state is requiring, but that this is a, local commitment from the police department, no matter what the state law says, that you will not be participating with ICE or collaborating with ICE in any way. And I'm also wondering, I don't know legally what you're allowed to do, but if ICE notifies you that they're coming not with a specific warrant for a specific person, but if they're coming to hang out and try to find people to pick up and detain, which they've done in other places in the country, would you be willing to share that information with the public so that they can protect themselves? Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yes, let's screen that last comment to the hills. I wanted to point out in the discussion of the staff report, it says that the police department will comply with their policy and the state laws unless required to do so by any future federal legal mandates. So my question is, if there is a future federal legal mandate, how do you protect the community and how do you let people know that the commitments you've made here tonight are no longer true? And I want to second what Hanya said about, I think There's a lot of nice language in here about respecting the dignity and humanity of everyone. From the beginning of development of this PAC, we felt it was really important to respect the dignity and humanity of everyone, police officers, community members, undocumented people, everybody. And undocumented people are a huge part of our community. They're our neighbors, they're our friends, they're some of our family members. And so if things change, how will you let us know that we're no longer safe? And I would love it if the police department would say, ICE is coming to do a sweep. Everyone, protect your people, because a lot of us are interested in doing that. I do think it's an important point that there's so much discretion on whether to cite and release or book, and that our sheriff is one of the few sheriffs in the 58 counties who did not answer the Cal Matters survey about whether or not the department planned to cooperate with ICE. And so once we take someone there, there's a booking log. You can see who's been booked, and ICE can see also who's going to be released and can be waiting at the Civic Center to scoop them up. And so I think it's in all of our interests to protect people. I think PAC members are here. We heard from people in the community night that people are afraid, and we need to do everything we can to protect people. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any other comments? No, thank you. I want to close public comments. Now, I want to come back to the staff to see if we can answer, you guys can help answer some of these questions. And I can, I know you guys have been writing it down. I also, jot it down just to make sure that we got it right. Yeah. So the first one talks about the spirit of the law or the letter of the law. Can any of you guys talk about that?
Sure. So the first question about spirit of the law versus letter of the law, the police officer's discretion is pretty powerful. I think we recognize that. I'd like to offer that we do recognize that. And Mr. Saris's comment that, the discretion we exercise in many cases can affect, somebody's constitutional freedom if they're undocumented or if the sheriff chooses to share information. So we recognize that. I don't know if you want to have a broader conversation about discretion. I think that would be really tough to do. I think eliminating police officer discretion would be, you could all just imagine it. So I'll kind of leave that hanging there, but I do want to acknowledge Mr. Saris's comment. And I think we all recognize the power that the discretion we exercise wields. The second question from another public comment came regarding youth and San Rafael High School in particular. The communication vine, or the iPhone vine, as it was described, it's powerful and it's far-reaching. We get that. There was comments, or it seems like a question around potential DUI type tactics for ICE. There was some rumor that we learned. We recently did, I don't have the date, but we recently did a DUI checkpoint. We're funded through the Office of Traffic Safety in the state of California to do DUI enforcement, not only, random mobile enforcement, but also to facilitate DUI checkpoints. That's been important to our community, including the Canal community, to host these checkpoints. So there were questions and rumor about ICE participating in our DUI checkpoint, and that is totally erroneous. ICE did not participate. No federal agencies participated in our DUI checkpoint. Our DUI checkpoints was purely for intoxicated drivers and suspended licenses. And any arrests that came from that, I think we had one arrest for DUI for intoxication, and ICE had no part of that. So sometimes these things that we hear are rumored. Sometimes those rumors are perpetuated, like the telephone game, and sometimes it's amplified by social media. But we did not have any federal participation in our DUI checkpoint. The next question on automated license plate readers. We've had automated license plate readers for quite some time. It might have been 2015, again, before my time as the new guy. But we have a product called Vigilant, which are mobile systems on our police cars. And the newly implemented system, as referenced, is the Flock system. Flock has a 30-day retention. which is much easier for the organization to manage in terms of that data. We produce an annual report on inquiries that are made to us on our license plate data. Vigilant has a much longer retention. Flock has a 30-day retention. And pursuant to the California Values Act and California legislation, we're not allowed to share any of that license plate reader data with federal agencies. No data sharing with federal agencies, and we do not do that. I might, so another part of that public comment was there's a reference about triangulated tracking. We have, as you might recall from the automated license plate reader presentation, fixed locations that were determined based on crime data. And we're not tracking vehicles moving, but we can track a vehicle that's captured by a camera at a particular location. So it's time of day, a camera captured at a location, but we're not triangulating and following a license plate around through the city. But there are several cameras throughout the city that may capture plates, that do capture plates. And then what do we do with that data? As I said, we are prohibited from sharing that with federal partners. I think I got that. I'm not sure if I'm missing anything.
Right. So I
Well,
think
there's
we
other
have-
questions,
there
but
was
is
a
it related to
questions-
ALPR?
There was also a question on policy and our concerning commitment. If the state law changes, can SRPD or our local, BD stick to the ones that we have now? Like some they'll change theirs. Oh man, we have to change ours. And then we sort of like drifted away from the promise that we make today.
Yeah. So a part of that question was, what are we going to do to notify the community on our practices? I think we could leverage this body. I think, we could make commitments to host a town hall or a community forum. We could leverage our social media. I think there's a lot of strategies that we can employ. And, I can commit that Lieutenant Eberly will take note of this. And if those changes occur, we, in the pursuit of the relationships we're trying to build, we would want to communicate legal changes with our community and kind of share what the new landscape or changing landscape looks like. I'm not sure if I am going to be willing to be arrested by federal authorities and taken away. If the law changes and I'm required to do something pursuant to the law, I'm not so sure that I'm going to throw my personal freedom down and violate the law. If a federal law says I have to do XYZ as a police chief and a public official, I'm required to abide by the law. I just hope that, and hope is not a great strategy, but I hope that we're not facing that scenario where the law changes so dramatically that we're, 180-degree position from where we are today.
Right.
And I think this is, not to get editorial or political, but I won't get political. This is this is the push-pull that you see, from the federal level to the state of California. And California is unique. So, we're continuing to seek legal counsel. And if the laws change, we will certainly lead a community commitment to share that information. But you're going to find your police department is going to follow the law.
Thank you. I
Oh.
think you also touched.
Well,
Yeah.
if I may, the only thing that I would add is that we would, of course, bring this to the city council as well, because obviously that's a venue where the community goes to receive information as well, and want to have the city attorney weigh in terms of what the city's options are and have awareness to what's occurring at the state level, particularly in the Attorney General's office. As some people may be aware, the state set aside several $1 million to address these kind of conflicts with California law, and as well as where the federal law is headed in terms of many different issues, whether it be on immigration enforcement or wildfire mitigation or CEQA. So just want to note that we would bring it to the city council as well, and also want to provide a little bit of context about what's happening at the state level to address these concerns.
Thank you. I think you guys have touched on mostly all of the questions. For the public and also for those who are watching tonight, if you have questions or comments, please go online, submit it. We'll be happy to look into it. Because I think, like I said in the beginning, this is a huge issue. And it's affect everyone in our city. And we want to make sure that everyone access the right informations. And that's the one thing I'm worried about. I want people to access the right info. You know, there's a lot of what if and, you know, do this, do that out there. But we want to make sure that you got to access the right informations from a very trustworthy sources. Come to the city. So if you are listening, if you're watching and you have concerns and questions, please submit it through online and we would love to help out. So that's with the questions. Thank you for answering all those questions. And for the public, if you're still not happy with the way we answer your questions, please go online, submit it again, and we'll do whatever we can to help you guys out. Okay? So now I'm going to come back to the committee for comments. So I'm just going to start with Alvarez.
Thank you for your presentation. And my comment will be like, maybe it's more than a question, but if you can like put this, like all this information in a paper that we can share with the community in a way that they can understand. Because for example, it's like different that I hear this information than sharing it. So I think that would be a good idea to have this in writing so we can share it with the community.
Thank you.
I think what we'll do is we will take the minutes of this and then we can make a separate tab on the PAC website and have people direct them to that so they could see everything and look for other ways that we can share that messaging.
We have one comment from Angela.
Sorry about that. Also wanted to note that we did the day before put out a social media post in English and Spanish, which kind of briefly summarizes some key points from the presentation. So I would direct people to that and also look forward to additional messages that are going to come from the city about the city's values as well as the city's role in terms of immigration. So stay tuned for that, but I would just direct people back to those social media posts for just kind of quick bullets about what the police department does and does not do that were covered in this presentation.
Can I add something? We have a lot of community members that they don't have access to social media or stuff like that. So that's something that we need to like find a way for these people to get the information too.
Okay.
What is your suggestion for that? Is it like a flyer that we pass out? I mean, what is your suggestion for the how-to?
Yeah, maybe besides in the websites, like a flyer, like a paper, like let's say, yeah, a flyer.
Yeah, a flyer would do.
A flyer.
So
yeah.
would you say that the PowerPoint presentation kind of hit certain things, or are there specific things? Because I don't know if it's effective to send everything. You're wanting kind of a summary.
I think like a summary. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Thank you.
So you're saying you want the summary of the presentation to be on that one page flyer?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I thought that.
I think the police department in partnership with the city manager's office can come up with
something
at a glance
Yeah.
type of info sheet, frequently asked questions, and we can hard copy that and have it be available at City Hall, at Pickleweed, and multiple locations throughout the community. So
Send it with those officers when they are on their patrol to stop at, those places and put it up there. Community notice board and, centers, maybe churches, they have notice boards and stuff, like pin it out there, it might help. I'll come back for the comments, Salma.
I think members of this panel would appreciate copies of that, and we can distribute it to our areas of influence.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's our job, folks. Remember, This is a year of action.
Any other comments? Any comments from the committee?
Mine would be for the San Rafael Police Department. I know they can, but I didn't know that four times you guys have been noticed by immigration this year. So I think that it's important to share this information with the public. And I hope you will, because I know you can, but I hope you will do that. That's it.
Thank you.
No.
Well,
My apologies, I missed the first half of the meeting. If this question's been answered, please disregard. I can check with my PAC members. The arrests that are made by these ICE officials, are they for people for jaywalking, or this is like high crime? Is this like, are you able to share that information? Like what are you seeing?
We're not seeing them proactively arresting people. The most recent activity that we've been notified is centered on their surveillance for wanted fugitives.
One last question. I hope you also reach out to the student body because I mean, a lot of the students' parents are immigrants, and I think there's a lot of anxiety because of their parents, you know, so I think that's very important also to address to the student body.
That's a great comment. It was actually captured in my notes after the public comment regarding high schools, and we're doing some work with the youth community from the 3 high schools in the coming months. So that will be focused. That will include the focus of immigration conversations as well. Thank you.
Just on that note too, like I know the city of San Rafael, the school board, they post this on their social media pages. So it's out there, but you're right. Like, you know, sometimes it's posted for different, you know, population. But if you wanted to go just for the students, you know, why not? You know, and I'm sure like the staff and the local PD would do their best to reach out to every little elements in our city. Yeah. Do it. Yeah.
I just have one comment, and again, not to be political, but I happened to be with a group with our Congressman Jared Huffman recently, and he actually made a statement that while all of these federal regulations are coming along, that actually no ICE enforcement with regard to those regulations has started. I don't know if that's what you find to be true, but I'm just repeating what was said if it brings any comfort level to the community at all. So.
Thank you. Do we have any other comments from members? No? I do have one. Salma, do you have one? Okay.
Muchas gracias otra vez por la presentación. Como parte de la comunidad del canal, les agradecemos la atención que están teniendo en esta vez con nosotros, con los de la comunidad latina. Y precisamente lo que estaba comentando la señorita, que lo pusieron ayer en lo de la página de la policía, hoy lo compartió Voces de Canal, lo compartió Canal Alliance, para que las personas vinieran aquí y asistieran, y si tuvieran preguntas, estaban ustedes para contestarles. Entonces, yo soy una de las personas que no sé ni cómo meterme aquí para entrar. Yo no tengo escuela, entonces me identifico con las personas que está diciendo Carla, que no sabemos cómo meternos a la página. Aquí hay personas que me han ayudado para que yo me pueda meter porque yo no sé. Entonces a mí sí me gustaría que, sobre todo la iglesia, la de San Rafael, necesita papeles que informen a las personas y lugares en las tiendas que compramos nosotros, en las escuelas de nuestros hijos, porque hay niños que están confundidos, piensan que el ICE va a llegar a su escuela y son niños nacidos aquí y ellos andan ya con su tarjetita roja porque tienen miedo. Entonces es importante que la comunidad esté bien informada Y yo pienso que esos papeles va a ayudar mucho para que tengamos información, porque la nuestra a veces no basta o no todos estamos en el grupo de la comunidad, pero sí es importante la información, ¿verdad? Muchas gracias.
I want to thank you guys again for having this discussion with us. Myself as a member of the Canal community, it's important to have these discussions, and it's important to be able to have this information available um, uh, to me. You know, it was touched on how yesterday on the police department's page there was information put out about this, and it was reposted from organizations like Voz de Canal and Canal Alliance. However, for people like myself, it's difficult for me to get into websites and kind of navigate through the internet to look up this information, much like member Carla had mentioned previously. You know, I didn't have any schooling about this, and so a lot of times I have to have my fellow members help me through these kind of channels to get information. So I think it would be helpful because there's a lot of people like me who don't have access to this kind of information or don't know how to access this information. And there's a lot of places like at the Church of San Rafael, at the stores that we shop at, that this kind of information be available for everybody, especially those who don't know how to navigate through those channels. There are children at our schools who aren't immigrants and yet hear about ICE raids all the time and are fearful of it and have their red tags ready. There just isn't enough information, or there just isn't enough help out there on how to access this information. And it would be great if you guys could do something so that we all could have access to this information. I thank you again.
Thank you. Any other comments? No, I think I wanted to say thank you again. Again, thank you. We still have a lot of work to do. I guess my only comments, and again, I'm gonna paraphrase some of the stuff that I heard from last night's meeting on the city council. And it's the right time to do this. You know, I'm asking committee members to step out of this comfort zone and do more. You know, I think that's our job for the folks that we represent in the city. We need to get out there and do more. And there's a few things like communication is huge. It's big. You know something, don't hold on to it. Go out there and share it. I don't know how you do it, but go out and share those info with your neighbors and tell your neighbors to tell their neighbors. The ripple effect of sharing, you know, all these info will help too. So we don't have to rely on just one body to do all the work. But if we, you know, they'll do theirs, we do ours, you know. And I think the other thing I wanted to bring up too is it's the perfect time to build a lot of trust with the folks in the communities. There's ups and downs, you know, but we need to just stay focused, build trust, communicate, and do our job. You know, I know you guys are doing a lot of stuff, but on top of that, just, you know, go the extra mile, you know, punch a little harder. I know you can do it. You may be 68, but you can punch like a 24-year-old, you know? So with that, I want to say thank you for the presentation tonight. Thank you for public for the comments and questions. If you're watching online too, please send us your questions and concern, and we'll try and see what we can do. And now I want to, you know, bring it back to the staff if they have anything to report? No?
Nothing to report. Just a reminder, next month will be the RIPA Racial Identity and Profiling Act topic.
So, thank you. Salma, do you have
Yeah.
a question?
Yeah, my question is staff going to present us with like a little calendar like before, like which months are going to be which topics so that we can plan?
We're trying.
we're still-
The
okay.
problem is we want some good presenters. We want to get well-rounded, so we have to juggle presenters' schedules. So our goal is to at least give you 2 months' notice. So April, we will be doing military equipment, AB 41. Next month will be, in March, will be the Racial Identity and Profiling Act. RIPA.
April would be the
Military equipment,
Oh, yeah, the
AB
military
481.
equipment, yeah.
We'll be covering, yes.
And if I may, I would refer back to the January 11th minutes. I believe that there was a table in the minutes that listed all of the topics. I don't believe the dates were confirmed, but
Yeah,
just so
the
that people could
topics,
see the
yeah.
topics.
Yeah.
And if members of the public want to go back and refer to that document as well, they can see all the topics that the PAC identified for this year's
Yes.
work plan.
Yes. I just wanted to comment to our chair is to encourage members of the panel, if there are topics that they want to have included, that they bring that to you. So everybody should have your contact information on the panel. Secondary to that is that oh, my mind went that away. Tell me about it. You can't pause. It's like counting change. You can't pause. You got to keep going. And so if there, oh, that's what I say. When we print the reports, thank you so much. But if there's a speaker, please put their name on actually on the agenda. I think we said that in the past and we're forgetting to do that. So then we know that it's not like, as it says here, recommend to receive the informational report versus a person's going to be presenting. I think that's a little more clarity when you're printing these, when you're making these up. That was the other piece that I wanted to say. And so, and also, I feel that there's always a possibility of time if someone wants to add to the agenda. How much time does staff need for that?
So that's a good question. So remember, I just want to remind everybody in January that you picked 8 topics to cover. It takes staff a lot of time to organize it, get presenters. You also made a comment last year that you didn't want to go over 2 hours in a meeting.
Mhm.
So we need to plan for all that. If you want to, as a group, we will decide, I'm not saying right now what the process is going to be, but it will have to be some sort of vote or consensus for all of you to possibly move one or exchange one already approved agenda item for another.
And
Well,
I think, yeah,
yeah, I'm speaking about short presentations.
presentation.
Because can you hear me through my mask? Okay.
Yeah.
We have, the community has asked several times to increase their time of speaking to 3 minutes, and we have yet to implement the requests of the community. That's number one. Number two, so if it was a short presentation of 10 minutes, that doesn't take away from a larger presentation. So that's what I'm talking about. If there's a short presentations, if those can be added, but I think staff would be able to tell us how long somebody's going to present if it's a presentation. You see what I'm saying? Like if somebody needs an hour, then we know we maybe wouldn't have an extra 10 minutes or something like that. Does that make sense? What I'm saying?
It makes sense, but we do have to go back to our roles and responsibilities. This is a police advisory committee, and what that topic is, I don't know what that is. We want to make sure, staff wants to make sure that this is not just a forum maybe to advertise for something. We want to make sure it's well-rounded. For example, you wanted a fraud presentation.
No, I did not want a fraud presentation. That's incorrect.
Okay, I apologize. The FAST team to come and present, I think. Okay, I think we should probably take it offline.
Yes.
And then we could talk about how to change or augment the agenda.
Yes.
And I think like that goes to everyone else in the committee, like if you have, you know, like a hot topic you wanted to bring up that it's not on the ones that we passed already, come to me and then we'll talk to the staff and see what we can do.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes, that's the
Okay.
process.
Yeah.
What the,
Yeah.
the process.
We'll
Yes.
try and see what we can do. Like anything is, we can figure things out, you know, but come to me, we'll talk to the staff and see what we can do with that.
Yeah.
Okay. And since there's nothing else from the staff, we're gonna move on to our last agenda item, which is committee reports.
On Sunday and January 26th, I participated in a community event at St. Raphael's Church, where the community was informed about their rights and also what to do if they are approached by ICE. They also had students from one of the San Francisco schools, sorry, I don't know which one, and they provide like free consultations with people that were at the meeting, that they have like specific questions about immigrations. Also on Wednesday, the 29th, I attend a Zoom meeting held by Canal Alliance, focus on immigration too, and they are gonna have two more. One is next Wednesday, and the other one is gonna be in March 26th. So you can check on the Facebook page. Thank you.
Thank you. And anybody else? And with those informations too, just please share out, you know. Anybody else? Any reports? Any other reports? Al?
Chair, I have a couple things to report. Yesterday, community members in the West End neighborhood, we had a meeting with Department of Public Works, talking about traffic safety issues, especially along the Miracle Mile. Only other thing to report, happily had coffee with Chief and we got to catch up, and it's been a couple months, and I appreciate the time you shared with me. Thank you.
Thank you.
I just have more of a thank you to the member of the city for participating. I think tonight we had more people speak, which was nice. It's nice to hear a diverse group of people talking, and also members of the city is also here. So it's nice to have a, you know, broader spectrum of people attend, and it helps us to kind of hear. And we just want to thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I forgot to thank you, Captain. It was a very good presentation. We appreciate that. And thank you for the members of the public. We value your opinions, and I think it's very helpful to be here. And one of our city council members is here. Thank you. Thank you for coming. My only comments are in regard to, as you all know, we had the presentation at the city council of our annual report last night. And I was honored to speak. And I do think that I forgot to tell the council how wonderful Miss Olson has been. I commented on everybody else, and I think her name slipped through. So I want you please to know, and I'm going to send an email to the council because she's really been extremely helpful. And of course, all the other staff members have been wonderful, except for Lieutenant Everly. He's just not helpful at all.
The other staff, they're fine.
And we appreciate you very much. One of the activities I took place, actually I had to do it by Zoom for a lot of reasons, was there was a celebration and educational program at the First Baptist Church in Marin City on Black History Month. My friend, Dr. Lois Moore, gave an excellent presentation. There's always something more to learn. And so I would like to honor the Black community, to be grateful for the educational process that was going on. Something that, actually, this is just a tip. I don't know if anybody has a gate, but there's a new ordinance in the county that if you have a gate, you have to have a fall protection thing, which I'm now in compliance, was installed today, but it's very meaningful. The last thing has not a lot to do with this committee, but I had a wonderful experience. As you all know, I've been involved in the district attorney's office for many years. And before that, I was a juvenile probation officer, and I worked with victims of child sexual abuse and sexual assault. So I got that assignment when I was in the district attorney's office, and I had one case that was just absolutely horrible. I won't go into the details, but a 12-year-old girl was attacked in her home. Her mother was attacked, and we went through the process, and she is now 42 years old, and she found me. And I know, and she called me and emailed me, and we actually had lunch. I'm gonna cry, it's terrible. But I asked her why she got back in touch. I thought it was for one reason and it wasn't. And she said, it was because you were kind. And so my message today is you never know who you're gonna touch. So please try to be kind. That's it for me today. Yeah,
Thank you.
Thanks for sharing.
it was
Thank
amazing.
you for sharing.
Sure.
Yeah, any other reports? I have one. I've been, I think it was also brought up last night, the Seeds of Hope. It's, it's every quarter there's Jason knows. We ran into each other. We're both there every time. I'm on the planning committee, planning sort of like committee. The next one is in May, is on May, I think May something. I'll get you it's always on the community center on B Street. Yeah. It's a very lovely event for the unhoused folks. They invited a lot of different agencies that have services and resources for, mainly for this population. And they table all the resources, information, there's food and everything else for them, which is great. And I'm still do home visit to a lot of folks that I help housed. And a lot of them, I'm working with them with the finance stuff. I'm not a finance dude, to be honest, but I'm helping them plan all their financial stuff, run shopping on my free time. I also help two of them find jobs lately, so they're now working. So that's sort of like a little gig that I do on the side, helping some of the folks that we work hard. All of you guys work hard to house and, off the street. And I also think, I know you brought up before from one of the public comments, but we're also bringing this issue back in a few months, I think. We'll get you all the details, but yeah. That's only report from me. So do we have anything else? Salma.
Because the issue has come up repeatedly, I think that we need to ask the question of whether or not we're going to make a change. So someone will need to make a motion, a change to our community time from 2 minutes to 3 minutes. There has not been any abuse of the time, but people do want to talk a little longer, and they have said that many times. Community is right there. You can ask them again, but I think that we as a group need to vote upon that.
Yeah. I'm gonna go back to the stuff. Yeah.
So anything that you intend to take action on would need to be agendized.
Right.
So, yeah, so the request is certainly noted, but you couldn't take action on it tonight.
Right.
I appreciate that, but I've been saying it again and again. When were we going to agendize it? That's my issue. So thank you. We can do that for next month then.
Can the committee decide tonight to put it on the next
agenda.
agenda? Okay.
I should come off mute. So staff notes that you're making the recommendation, and we will follow up for the next month's agenda for that to be an item.
Okay.
Thank
Do we all agree?
On what?
To-
I'm putting it on the agenda.
Putting on the agenda, yeah.
Sure.
On the next agenda. We all agree?
Can we
Okay.
just email if we come up with a new agenda? We could just email to you, or just how do I?
We said go to the chair.
So certainly you would want to loop in the chair, but I want to direct folks back to the board, commission, and committee guidelines. So in addition to the bylaws that the PAC has adopted, there are citywide board, commission, and committee guidelines. And so it speaks to modifications to the agenda. And so don't want to go too far down the rabbit hole. But certainly you can email staff and the chair, and as Lieutenant Eberly indicated, we will, depending on the number of items that are already on the agenda, we may need to, and speakers confirmed, so we need to have an offline conversation when agenda items are brought forward. But I do want to reemphasize what Lieutenant Eberly said about the work plan. And so we want to make sure that there's sufficient time to address the work plan topics, because you did meet and discuss and affirm those are the topics that you wanted to discuss. So we also don't want to have this as an opportunity for people to kind of circumvent the process where everybody came together. We went through a voting process to rank and prioritize. So people can bring forward agenda topics, but we just want to be mindful of that process that we went through in January. So we can have an offline conversation about those topics as they arise. We ought to also understand that some things may come up that may be very urgent and very timely as well, but we certainly want to honor the process that we went through in January and the several rounds of voting to arrive at that. So, but if people want to make a request, they could certainly email staff and CC the chair as well, and then we'll have a dialogue about how to accommodate that request.
Thank you for clarifying. Yes, if you have anything else, email the staff, CC me. We'll settle this. We'll like I said, we'll find a way. Yeah. Okay. Anything else? Last one. With that, meeting adjourned.
Yeah.